Hello and welcome back to your next Task 2 IELTS writing lesson. So as you can see today, we're going to be taking a look at another question. And much like I did with a Task 1 report, I'm going to do some live feedback on a former IELTS 7 Plus student on their Task 2 essay. So I'm going to do some live feedback on it. I'm going to sort of give it a Bandscore. I'm going to talk about areas for improvement, and then I'm going to make some edits live as we go through the essay, maybe a second or third time. But first, I'll be giving it a Bandscore. I just want to take this opportunity to remind you again that you can repeat the video lessons in course. I think that's a really important thing to do, especially those modelled right videos for IELTS writing. Watch them multiple times. That will help you to internalise, to remember, and be able to use some of the grammatical structures I use. This repetition of rereading many times those model answers will really help you to almost act, to acquire, to get that writing voice to sound more academic. And it's kind of a really useful technique to reread multiple times those essays that I've written for you, both live as well as in the model answers. So just another tip for you all there. Watch them multiple times, read through those model answers in the course many times. You know, you might want to read them 2 or 3 times a day for a few weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, and that will really help you learn the voicing, learn the structures, and learn the grammatical structures as well as, it will help with your reading. So just a quick tip, just something I wanted to point out to you. Okay. Excuse me, we're on to our live Task 2 feedback. So I know this is a really useful lesson for you, and I'm happy to get this uploaded for you as well. So we have our question here. Let's have a read through. Today, people are buying more consumer goods like jewelry and household appliances. Do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? Our topic sentence. People are buying more consumer goods, jewelry, household appliances. I'm thinking Amazon. I'm thinking non-essential goods. Non-essential goods. That's a good bit of vocabulary already. So this is me almost planning, before I've even checked the student's essay. And we can see here advantages and disadvantages. You could give your opinion at the end for this as well if you want. It's kind of asking you, what do you think? But I'm going to approach this, or I would approach this, in very much an advantages, disadvantages way. So SP1, supporting paragraph 1, would be advantages. SP2 could be your disadvantages. And then you can give your opinion at the end, or simply just say there are many advantages or disadvantages for whatever the topic is. Okay, anyway. I was almost planning my own essay there. So we've got the question. I think it's time to take a look at the essay. But I will just say that I haven't read this for a long time. I don't remember it. I've not done any pre-evaluation on this. So this is new for me as it is you. So let's have a read through of everything. Okay, first thing I'm thinking is it looks pretty long, which is okay, sometimes, depending on how long it takes to write. So let's take a look at the word count. Wow, okay, 288. I think it's just because I made the font bigger so it's easier for you to read. Yeah, that's perfect. 288 words. Absolutely perfect. Okay, so it looks like we have introduction. Kind of looks quite long, but that's okay. We've got SP1, supporting paragraph 1. SP2. Yep, looks good, nicely kind of balanced, a little bit more in here, but that's fine. And then we have our conclusion here, which is actually 4 sentences. So maybe a little bit long for a conclusion. I usually suggest 2 sentences. However, no problem. The strategies that I teach you will really help. However, it's not going to be the end of the world if you slightly deviate or move away from some of the things I teach, like, for example, a 1 or 2 sentence conclusion. If there's 4 sentences, that doesn't mean that it's going to be wrong, but I generally try and recommend to stay to the to the writing strategies I teach. However, it could be great still. Okay, so looks well structured. That's what I'm looking for right now. I'm looking for a clear structure. I'm looking for paragraphing. I can see that it's well organized. So straight away, I'm thinking positively. I'm thinking I can probably quite easily understand the ideas here. Okay, so structure looks quite good so far. Good word count. Let's jump into our introduction paragraph. Household devices and jewelry have been preferred more by customers for these days. I'm just going to have a read through. I'm not going to stop too much to make edits now. Throughout this essay, I will mainly discuss not only advantages but also disadvantages of this situation and express my own opinion on the subject. So I like it how he's saying he's going to give his own opinion. He's stated the question type. That's nice. Firstly, I will mention about positive impact, his economic side, which is technological development and more employment. Secondly, I will underline negative environmental effects of this understanding as air, sea and agricultural pollution. Okay, so, there are grammatical errors here. There are some edits that I need to make. However, I'm quite happy because I can see that the student clearly is following a structure. So paraphrasing, stating what question it is, and saying they'll give their own opinion, saying what's going to be coming up in their supporting paragraphs. So nice. I can see the student understands how to structure their essay. And it just is a good start, even though there's grammatical errors and vocabulary and sentence structure errors too. Well structured. So nice. A good introduction there. First of all, Firstly, I will mention the positive impact, economy and technological development and employment. So we've got 3 points. Okay, so that's what I'm going to be thinking of here. First of all, buying more products means more technological investment and employability. When people have a new household product, companies invest more to produce better device compared to old one. Therefore, companies hire more engineers, designers and sellers to compete in the market, which contributes to countries' employability. Okay, in addition, people spend less time to wash their clothes or make a coffee by using household appliances. People spent their time more on their jobs to advance in technology. Okay, there's some grammatical errors again, but I think the way it's structured is pretty nice. It's almost kind of like the student has sort of given the overall idea in his first sentence. So he's got his topic sentence here and then just given more examples and more specific and lots of details here. So task achievement's pretty good here as well. Okay, secondly, negative environmental effects of this understanding. Secondly, more production causes environmental pollution as air, agricultural, and sea. Most people always change their previous devices instead of new one, which leads to plastic waste. For example, undeveloped and developing countries face these challenges more compared to developed countries, selling their trashes and wastes these countries. Okay, so there's some real grammatical issues there, but nothing that we can't solve. Undeveloped countries is poorly managed, bury their trashes underground. This case damages agricultural production by harming soil. Furthermore, more consumption causes more air pollution and sea pollution. Okay, I like how we're going a bit more into sort of types of pollution. That's kind of interesting. Countries throw away their waste by burying under sea or burning them, which damage sea animals and increase amount of carbon dioxide in the air. Okay, so just a quick review here. There's more serious grammatical errors kind of in this supporting paragraph. So here's, there is some here, but when it comes here, it looks like I'm going to have to make bigger edits to improve, which is quite normal. So part of writing is something called writing endurance, which means being able to maintain accuracy and quality of writing for an extended period of time. So often students' writing can get worse, especially in the second supporting paragraph. And really what needs to happen is, to improve that, is for the students to just practice writing these longer essays again and again. And then grammar, vocabulary doesn't drop too much as we go later into our writing. Okay, and we're on to our conclusion. So to conclude, consuming more goods has either environmental effect or economic impact. Again, some edits needed there. In my opinion, disadvantages have more dominant than advantages. People should maintain a balance between financial and environmental side. Otherwise, people can disrupt ecological balance in the world. Okay, so it's a pretty detailed conclusion. I quite like it, to be honest. I like how the student has given some more reasons as well. Even though it doesn't stick to my 2-sentence conclusion, I still like this. I still think it's quite good. So yeah, I'm happy with that. Right. Let me have a think. So it's definitely has some positives in here. The structure, it answers the question well. There's a range of cohesive devices such as sentence openers. There's some interesting sentence structure as well. It's not all just simple sentences and it's not all just really long sentences. So there's a range of sentence types. So that's good. But if for the negatives, there's obviously some grammatical errors. So there's a range of sentence types, but within those sentences, there's some issues with structure. So how the sentence has been structured grammatically. There's some more vocabulary errors as well. And I'd also like to see more of a range of vocabulary. I think the wastes was used a lot and trashes. I think we can think of some other words for this. But overall, it's a pretty strong essay. There's just definite rooms for improvement. So I would probably say round about a Bandscore 6, I would say. Just because the grammatical errors are a bit too consistent, and especially towards this second supporting paragraph, they become more problematic. So it's a little bit harder to read. But I think this is a great base for the student to improve on. So just to keep studying and keep improving, because clearly the student understands how to write academically, can clearly structure some writing, and obviously has a pretty good grasp of English. But I just think with edits, it needs some editing. So probably around that 6. Although I wouldn't be too surprised if it was to score a 5.5, but I think a 6 is probably about right. So let's go through this and I'll make some edits as we go. So that's all what I'm going to suggest. So you can see how we're going to move things forward now. Household devices and jewellery have been preferred more by customers these days. So straight away, I need to make an edit here. Household devices and jewellery are more preferred these days by consumers. So that's a pretty big edit. That's kind of like straight away quite a big change. Household devices and jewellery are more preferred these days by consumers. Throughout this essay, I will mainly discuss not only the advantages, but also the disadvantages of this situation and express my own opinion on the subject. Firstly, I will mention, I'm going to try and highlight for you where I've made changes. Apologies. Firstly, I will mention about the positive. I don't think we need about here. I will mention the positive impacts such as the economic side, such as economic benefits, which is technological development and more employment. Okay, I'll accept that. I don't think that's the nicest structure, but I think grammatically it's okay. Let's just read this back. Firstly, I will mention, it almost sounds a little bit too unacademic. Mention. I will explore sounds better. Firstly, I will explore the positive impacts, such as economic benefits, which are technological development and more employment. Because we're talking about two different subjects here. Secondly, I will underline the negative environmental effects. So obviously issues with articles here. The negative environmental effects of this understanding of this topic, such as air, sea and agricultural pollution. So I'm just going to have a read back of the whole introduction paragraph and just think, is this that sort of top band score yet? 8.5? Maybe, let's see. Household devices and jewellery are more preferred these days by consumers. Throughout this essay, I will mainly discuss not only the advantages but also the disadvantages of this situation and express my own opinion on the subject. Firstly, I will explore the positive impacts such as economic benefits, which are technological development and more employment. Secondly, I will underline the negative environmental effects of this topic, such as air, sea and agricultural pollution. Yeah, that's a solid, very good introduction paragraph there, just with the changes made. Okay, let's continue. First of all, buying more products means more technological investment and employability. That's fine. When people have a new household product, companies invest more to produce better devices when compared to older ones. Now, better devices. Okay, I'll take that. It's a little bit too specific. Devices in computer device. But we're also talking generally about consumer goods. But that's okay. When people have a new household product, companies invest more to produce better devices and goods. Let's add this in. And goods. When compared to older ones. Therefore, companies hire more engineers, designers, and sellers to compete in the market, which contributes to a country's employability. Now, that's probably a vocabulary error because a country isn't employable. That's not a quality that a country can have. It's a quality that a person or an individual has. So we need to make an edit here. I understand the idea of the country's ability to employ the public, but the vocabulary is not quite right. Therefore, companies hire more engineers, designers and sellers to compete in the market, which contributes to a country's ability, I'll just go with the way I said it, ability to employ its citizens. There's probably some other ways that you can say this, but off the top of my head, that seems to work. Which contributes to a country's ability to employ its citizens. In addition, people spend less time washing, so we've got a tense error here, washing their clothes or making coffee by using household appliances. Yeah, that's good, I like that. People spent their time more on their jobs to advance in technology. So this was probably one of the sentences in the essay that I was kind of a bit confused with, and we can probably interpret or understand it in two ways. People spent their time more on their jobs to advance in technology, meaning people who were employed in designing tech spent more time in their work. Is that an advantage? Possibly. People spent their time more on their jobs to advance in technology. Now, did the student mean that people were able to work more efficiently because of advances in technology? That would be an advantage. So increased work efficiency in their jobs to advance in technology because of advances in technology. Now that would make more sense, but I think what the students was actually saying is that people spent their time more on their jobs, as in designers and product developers spent more times in their work, more time at work in order to advance technology. I'm not convinced that that's really a benefit, that people are working more and more and more advancing technology. Although I guess the student is basically saying there's more opportunity for work because we need the advancement in technology. Now, I'm not going to make edits to that. I'm just going to say that that's kind of a problematic sentence because I could, of course, rewrite it, but the meaning's not clear. So I'm just going to underline it and just sort of move on. So that's a bit of an issue there that I'd like the student to have maybe just reviewed. Okay, secondly, more production causes environmental pollution. More what production? We need to be more specific here. We need a noun phrase. More, let's say, technology production. Technology, is it just technology we're talking about? Think about the question. More consumer product production. Let's read that back. Secondly, more consumer product production causes environmental pollution, such as air, agricultural, and sea. Okay, that's fine. Interesting topic sentence. Most people, so maybe this is where we're getting into the problematic part of the essay. Most people always change their previous devices instead of new one, which leads to plastic waste. Most people always change their previous, I think maybe we could say upgrade their previous devices instead of new one. A little bit lost on this sentence as well. Most people upgrade or change their previous devices instead of purchasing a new one, which leads to plastic waste. Most people, I think that really they are buying, people are buying new goods instead of looking after the ones they have. So a little bit lost on this too. Most people always upgrade their previous device instead of buying, I'm going to go with it, instead of buying a new one, which leads to plastic waste. I don't quite think that it does, but I'm just going to leave that in there. Most people always upgrade their previous devices instead of buying, instead of buying new ones. And which leads, and this I'm going to change to more of a compound sentence, and this leads to plastic waste. Okay, for example, undeveloped and developing countries face these challenges more when compared to developed nations. I'm just trying to vary the vocabulary here. Who sell their trash and waste to these countries. Who sell their waste and trash to these countries. I think I know what the student's saying, that there is sometimes more developed countries are selling waste and waste products and garbage, rubbish, trash, selling them or moving them to less developed countries. So I'll leave that in, but maybe it needed a bit more of an explanation. Let's read that back. For example, undeveloped and developing countries face these challenges more when compared to developed nations who sell their waste and trash to these countries. Undeveloped countries is poorly managed. So here we have an error of are. Is singular, are plural. Undeveloped countries are poorly managed and bury their waste. I'm going to use garbage, which is obviously a British word, but just to try and use a range of vocabulary. Undeveloped countries are poorly managed and bury their garbage underground. This case damages agricultural production by harming soil. This strategy, so again, a vocabulary issue there. This strategy damages agricultural production by harming soil. Furthermore, more consumption, so I like that. Furthermore, more consumption causes air pollution. Furthermore, more air pollution. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this here just because it's a repetition of more. Furthermore, more consumption causes air pollution and sea pollution. Countries throw away their wastes by burying them under the sea. Floor, I would say here, to be honest. Sea floor. Or burning them, which in turn, so just giving it that extra bit of flair to improve the Bandscore, which in turn damage sea animals, maybe a slight error, which in turn kill sea animals and increase the amount of carbon dioxide in the air. Okay, quite a few edits there through this paragraph, but I'm not going to read it all back. You can, of course, pause the video and read it back, but I'm very confident that that's now a really solid supporting paragraph too. Okay, and we can see lots of edits here. So if you want to pause it, go for it, and you can have a read through the second supporting paragraph now. Okay, so let's take a look at the conclusion. To conclude, consuming more goods have either environmental effects or economic impacts. So there are many, so we need to keep this as a plural noun. To conclude, consuming more goods have either environmental effects or economic impacts. And I'm going to add brackets here just to show off a little bit, or both. So if you can just once use brackets, it's always good. But of course, use them accurately. In my opinion, the disadvantages have more dominance than the advantages. People should maintain a balance between financial and environmental care. Otherwise, people can disrupt ecological balances in the world. Okay, so that is the whole essay there, and we've gone through, made edits, and we've made changes as much as possible. It is a strong essay, you know, it's a Bandscore 6, possibly 5.5 once we've gone a bit more deep into it. But I think the student does have a good level of fluency, and this is a great base to build on. You know, giving those really hard study of a few weeks, you know, a couple of months, I can definitely see the student making improvements. Remember that IELTS takes time, hard work, and patience. So these are qualities that we need to think about when we are practicing for the IELTS. So there you go. Have a pause through, have a good read through, and think about the edits that I've made. And I hope that you found this video lesson useful. And do always remember, drop me a message, say hello. I'm here to help. And all the very best, and I'll see you in the next lesson.